Hello, good morning. Brett and Coach here. Today, another day in Copenhagen, and it looks pretty nice out. I believe it's going to be a high in the mid 70s. We just had breakfast at the hotel, which was okay. It wasn't like an American style breakfast, which, I mean, that's kind of expected. It was a lot of hard bread, meats, and cheeses, which it was fine. Nothing special. Not sure if we would get the hotel breakfast again, because it was 95 krone, which would be $15-ish, so I'd rather almost just go to a coffee shop and get a pastry and a coffee instead. A couple things on the schedule today, starting off with Kastellet, which I believe is a giant fountain in the northern part of the city. Then we'll head down to Amalienborg, which I believe is the Queen's or the Royal Palace, where we might be able to see the changing of the guard if we are there during on the hour. And then there's also Christiansborg Palace, which I think is just another castle for the royals. And we'll see what else we get up to. Dinner plans and some shopping as well planned in there for later today. So hopefully we can cross everything off of our bucket list after this little bit of a slower start this morning. We'll be going to Nyhavn, which is what Copenhagen is kind of known for. In all of the photos and postcards, it's on the main canal and it has all the bright colored buildings. So hopefully I'll get some cool photos from that as well. And we'll probably stop by Ophelia Beach, which is just a beach in the main harbor, as well as I believe they call them the Kissing Stairs, which is just a nice seating area where a lot of the locals seem to hang out. All right, let's get going. For the trains, you can just fully walk on. There's nothing to ding, there's nothing to scan, but occasionally there'll be a train worker that will wander around on the train so you can scan the card with them on their phone. Usually they don't check you because almost every single travel video I've seen, people just don't get checked. And in the 3 times we've rode the train, we've been checked twice. So make sure you have your card, otherwise you will get a huge fine. We didn't actually have our cards scanned just because we have the Copenhagen card app. He just saw that we had the app open and he didn't even bother to actually checking our ticket. Make sure you have some form of transportation card, otherwise you will get in trouble. The money here is pretty straightforward once you figured out the amounts and the coins, but what I just got back was 50 ore. I have no idea what this is. My change should have been 26 crown and I was given this? Is this some sort of cent? Is this half of something? I have no idea what this is. I didn't realize that Kastellet was this whole man-made star-shaped military base that I'm guessing that they used way back when, because I don't think it's actively in use now, even though there is the Danish military around. I thought this was just a fountain we were gonna spend maybe 10 minutes, take a video, take a photo next to, not this whole park in the shape of a giant star. It's really cool though, it's just clearly I didn't do enough research on this. I'm gonna call this just a happy accident and a cool little discovery. Also with that makes me wonder, what fountain was I talking about? Just because it seemed pretty large and this is here instead. So I wonder where that fountain actually is. I guess I'll either stumble across it or editor me let me know. I'm usually not really one for churches, but popping in one on the way, that's about as much as I can handle. The stained glass looked pretty cool. Otherwise, I didn't really know much about it. There were guides that you could have picked up in a couple different languages, but we only popped in for a couple seconds. I think I'm gonna say we found the fountain. talked about seeing the Little Mermaid statue, but just based on what the boat tour said, we saw the backside of it and it just seemed pretty touristy anyway. Like, as much as I appreciate honoring Hans Christian Andersen and his works, it's just kind of a small statue in the bay.
And then we made it to Amalienborg, which is the Danish royal family's residence. And it features a giant equestrian statue of Frederick V, which is one of the kings of Denmark. And we were able to see the changing of the guards since we were there on the top of the hour. They had 4 or 5 guards walking back and forth, stopping at each post, and they were very much in sync. And nearby is Marmokirken, which is known as the Marbles Church or Frederick's Church.
I think it's funny how they just mix the old and new so much, because there's this giant marble circular church, and then over here there's just like a 7-Eleven.
Let's take a quick peek inside.
I'm all for places like that, especially when it's super ornate, and I'm totally willing to be respectful if silence is required, but saying, put your phone down, it's good for your soul, you need it, feels a little condescending. Like, it could be a translation to English issue, but it just felt rude, but still a super ornate and beautiful little church. I mean, well, big church. This actually might be the fountain I was talking about going to look at. I'm not really sure if it was this one or the other one, but I found another fountain. I found a third fountain.
And then we're off to the kissing stairs, which seemed pretty popular today because it was a very nice temperature out to lay out on the beach. And then we made it to Ophelia Beach, which isn't really a beach at all. There's no sand or anything like that, but just a nice swimming area. And it had a nice view of Copenhagen's Opera House. And then it was off to Nyhaven.
It's very pretty and very picturesque, but it's very touristy with a lot of restaurants and a lot of little gift shops.
And we decided to take plenty of pictures here, especially for my profile photo. But we were getting hungry, so we were off to Broen's street food, and we took a quick peek looking at the Church of Our Savior, which is this tall spire. Before we could head to lunch, we had to cross the bridge, which was currently lifted, waiting for this boat to pass by. And these street food plazas are very popular in Copenhagen. I believe this is either the second or third one we visited. I decided to go with a banh mi sandwich here from District Tonkin. And we got a couple refreshing drinks as well.
Wrapped up a late lunch at Broen's Street Food. Now we're walking back over the canal via bridge. I believe the locals call this the Kissing Bridge because it's actually able to lift up for passing boats through the canal. And when it comes back down to meet, it looks like the two sides are kissing.
But now it was time for Christiansborg Palace, in which you can visit most of it, including the ruins of the previous castle, the throne room, and other royal rooms. And we decided to head down to the ruins first. They were a definite nice way to get some relief from the heat, and it walked through many different ages and years of the history of the buildings. And these are just a few of the things that we were able to see down in the ruins, from a bunch of different tiles with cat paws in it, some more ornate tiles, and this interesting exit that appeared to be straight up.
Imagine doing renovations on your castle and you find a whole other castle below you with a full well, a kitchen, prisoner chambers, bedrooms, bathrooms. You just don't know.
And now we were off to the royal rooms where we had to wear some shoe coverings. And you can see how impressed Brian and I are with how everything looks so ornate, lush, and royal. From the chandeliers to the library, floor to ceiling with books, everything is gold leaf covered, very ornate, wall to ceiling paintings everywhere you look. And this was my favorite of these rooms, in which it had these giant woven tapestries depicting the history of Denmark. It was time to see the throne room. And since it was closing to the public here in a little bit, we decided to visit the kitchen quickly, as well as the horses' stables.
We're currently in the horses' stables of the castle, but none of the horses here because they're out to pasture until end of July, which is kind of okay because me and horses, I would say, are on suspicious terms with each other, just because I'm easily spooked as a person, they're easily spooked, so I just feel like it's better off that I wasn't around the horses, so I don't really feel like I'm missing much with all of the stables just being empty. That's a wrap on Christiansborg Castle. I would say it is definitely much bigger than I expected, especially wandering around inside. And it is very impressive, especially actually the royal rooms. Everything seems to be covered in gold or just like giant paintings and tapestries. Probably the most informative and interesting historical thing we've done here in Copenhagen. Did a quick pit stop at the hotel room to shower and change for dinner, but before that we're going to do a little bit more shopping because we found a shopping mall, hopefully close by dinner.
As we entered this mall, we realized it had a very fish and nautical theme to it. Very large art pieces throughout the entire mall.
Besides the general layout of this mall, all the stores feel extremely American. Like a lot of even just the names of sections are completely written in English, same with men and women. I wonder if that's just a mall thing here in Denmark. Otherwise, you could very much convince me that I'm just in the States, just in a normal mall.
And I thought these escalator-style ramps were very interesting, and I haven't seen anything like it except for in an airport.
I can appreciate all the cobblestone for the walkways because it's historical and probably cheaper than actually ripping it out and replacing it. But 3-4 days in on walking on it, my ankles are definitely feeling it, especially after some of these longer days where we're doing a lot of walking. Might need to pop a Tylenol or Advil when I get home. And we're back here at the meatpacking district part of Copenhagen. This time not for pizza, but still here for dinner. We are headed to War Pig's Brew Pub for food and hopefully a couple drinks as well.
And it seemed like it was a pretty popular place with the locals, a lot of people waiting in line, and there was a lot more beer options as well. And had indoor and outdoor seating. So we grabbed a drink and a plate of their barbecue. It came with coleslaw, some sausage, multiple different types of brisket, and this mac and cheese. Saying it was just a little cheesy is an extreme understatement. And we decided to have 1 or 2 more tasters before we headed out for the rest of our evening.
Just wrapped up dinner at War Pigs where we had a couple drinks and some very solid barbecue. Now we're off to, hopefully, a rooftop bar so we can watch the sunset over the Copenhagen skyline. But something that I've noticed that is a big difference between US stoplights and Copenhagen stoplights is that when pedestrians are able to walk in the US, it kind of gives you a countdown down on when you are not able to cross in Copenhagen. It goes from green that you can walk to red with 0 warning. There's no countdown. You can't even really tell the red turns yellow to green. It just switches. It's kind of stressful when in the middle of the intersection you suddenly shouldn't be in the intersection. So
We soon found the elevator to the rooftop bar.
I wasn't sure if the elevator would actually stop at our destination or what would happen, but we definitely made it. Usually I'm not a big bar person, but I think this is the coolest bar we went so far into Copenhagen. Just because it seems like it's on top of a hostel and all of the greenery just seems like a good fit. It's a nice getaway above the city in a way. Also, the drink prices are one of the cheapest we've seen, and it seems like a lively crowd. So I'm gonna say that is a win in my book.
We grabbed 1 more round of drinks here at the rooftop bar, but I'm going to end this video here, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can catch tomorrow's video here in Copenhagen. Otherwise, have a great rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow.